Good morning, friends. Welcome to another show. Good morning, Lou.
Good morning. How are we doing today?
Yeah, good. I'm actually pretty excited because today is our 200th episode.
I know, huh? It's kind of an awesome thought to think we're 200 episodes into this.
Yeah. This is what we're going to talk about today is dhriti. Dhriti means perseverance.
Oh,
Means, just stay on track, to be resolute, to not give up after, a short while. So this is dhriti, I guess, on our part, to just be
yeah.
resolute and stick through it, through everything. There was a while that I had to drive a long distance to get to Lou through those icy roads and back. And anyway, it all worked out.
Yeah. How appropriate, huh? That's what comes up on episode 200.
That's right. So today we're going to be doing episode 200. I am on the road, like Lou said. I'm not at home. So forgive me if anything goes wrong. But we're going to be discussing chapter 18, verses 26 through 28. And we if you remember, we already did quite a few of these different things. Basically, the Gita, Krishna says these are the sattvic qualities, rajasic qualities, tamasic qualities of each one of these things: knowledge, the doer, etc. Today we're going to be doing the sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic qualities of a doer. What does a doer mean? We have said before in previous episodes that each one of us, every second of our waking life, is doing an action. And so the one who does the action is known as the doer. He's doing it. So verse 26 talks about a sattvic doer. Verse 27 talks about a rajasic doer. And verse 28 talks about a tamasic doer. And Krishna gives us quite a few points to consider, which are very, very helpful to us in running our day-to-day lives. So, for example, for the sattvic doer, he gives us 5 points. For the rajasic doer, he gives us 6 points. And for the tamasic doer, 8 points, which are very helpful to evaluate and look at your own selves, and also to see people around you. You'll see a lot of qualities in here that you will be quite surprised by. And then we'll go to episode 201, which you'll also find interesting. So, a sattvic doer has no attachments. We'll go over each one of these. That's the first. The second is no ego attached to his actions. The third is he does it with dhriti. Dhriti is this action is resolute and determined. He sees it to the end. Number 4 is utsaha. Utsaha means enthusiasm. He does his actions enthusiastically right to the end. And number 5 is he's unaffected by success or failure. Whether he does well, doesn't do well, gets the results he wants, he's unaffected by it for the most part. So let's do point number 1, attachment. What is an attachment? An attachment to whom or to what? An attachment, basically, everything is me, I plus I do or I am is an attachment. You become one with the thing that you're attached to, or the person that you're attached to, or the action that you're attached to. You can be attached to a person, a thing, an object, an animal, a tree, a book, or your action. So people, animal, objects, actions you can be attached to. Mm-hmm. When you're attached to this object, person, thing, animal, you have a preference for that person. Let's talk about just person. You say, this is mine. This person is mine. This thing is mine. This animal is mine. This object, this action is mine. If you're a small little scratch on that object, you feel as if your heart has been scratched. Just imagine you're attached to a brand new car. Yeah. And you get a scratch on the car, you feel, oh, my heart's been scratched, because you possess the attached object, and you smother that object, or you smother the person that you're attached to suffocate it. Whereas a sattvic person is free of attachment. He may love a tree, for instance. He says, I love this maple tree. It's so beautiful. I love it. But he lets it He has joy to himself and joy to others around him because he doesn't suffocate people or he doesn't suffocate the object. The tree is free to grow. He just stands apart from it and looks at it and leaves it alone and loves it from a distance. So that's attachment. A sattvic doer does the action without attachment to anything, anybody, or to the action.
Mhm.
Number two, ego. Ego is when in Sanskrit you say, or Hindi, you say ahankar. Ahankar is two separate words. Aham means me, right? Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. Ahankar means I am the doer. I am the karta of this. Aham karta. So when you have ego, you have aham wadi, which is that arrogance that I did it. I did it. This is all me. Sattvic person who does an action is free of ahamkar or ahamvadi. I did it. I didn't. He says, no, I didn't do it. The Lord did it. The Lord did it through me, yes, but I am only acting on behalf of Brahman. So why me? Because of my previous karmas. It gave me the opportunity to be present. So what happens is, because of my previous karmas, I was born with certain abilities that the Lord gave me because of my previous karmas. I'm here and I'm doing it because I ought to do it, because that's what the Lord gave me to do. He says, the sattvic person says, I did not do it. The Lord did it through me. No selfishness. So others who are with you feel motivated also to do the job, to join. No motivation for a particular result. No pride. No egoism. I'm a big shot. No, none of that. The sattvic person, he just says, it is given to me. These qualities, this ability to do it is given to me. Therefore, I act. And because I'm just acting on behalf of the Lord. How it goes, what the result is, really is up to the Lord. I'm just doing it, what I should be doing. A sattvic person understands very well that he could be on the other side. I mean, I know from my own life, from where I've come to where I am now, I know how easy it is to just flip because of previous karmas and luck to another side. A sattvic person understands, as I do, how easy it is for you to be on the other side with no money, with no opportunities, and each one of us, those who have not had this might find it a little harder to experience, but those who have been through that find it a lot easier to understand what it is like to be on the other side. A sattvic person recognizes that even without him going through this, he understands very well that he could very well, just as quickly, just as easily, have been on the other side. What is that phrase, Lou? But for the grace of God.
For the grace of God, yeah.
Something, there goeth I.
Yeah.
Right? That could be me, except that it was the grace of God, as we say, or our previous karmas, that's not me that's walking over there. All the resources that you have, the opportunities, the whole world, whatever is at your fingertips is all because you got it because of your previous karmas through God. I can just as well be a person who is not born with these qualities, these strengths, these opportunities, this famous family, this rich family, or I could have not been given these opportunities. So that's all ego. Dhriti. Dhriti means you do it with perseverance, with resolution, zeal, fortitude, all of these words, enthusiasm. It's not just enthusiasm is the next topic. So dhriti is resoluteness, zeal, fortitude, firmness, determined to succeed. But there's good dhriti and bad dhriti, right?
Yeah.
So Hitler was resolute. He had dhriti to do bad things, to kill off a whole civilization, to kill off, a different race. That was his dhriti. That's a bad dhriti.
Yeah.
So here, what Krishna is talking about is a good dhriti, that whatever good sattvic action you, as a sattvic person, determine that you're going to take, that your dhriti carries it through right to the end. Next, just having that resoluteness is not enough. You have to have enthusiasm. You can't determined to do it, but you sort of walk around with a morose face. No, enthusiasm. As you're doing it, with firmness, with resolution. You're also um, enthusiastic. And in order to be enthusiastic, you're not affected by whether there's success or failure in your actions. Your energy, your enthusiasm is excessive just as much, even if the results are not exactly what's expected. This is sattvic. Rajasic, we'll see in a moment, that is purely dependent on the results. So a Rajasic person is all action oriented. For him, when things don't go his way, the results are not, he just drops it. He's not happy. Sattvic person is indifferent to success or failure and does it perfectly well, knowing that if the success doesn't follow now, at some later point, years from now, you will get success. You know, as Lou knows, I try my hardest not to see how many people are watching this program or
Yeah.
how many are listening to this. And yes, I want to know. I'm curious, but I'm trying to grow and saying I don't want to really know. And so when Lou tells me I'm curious, my ears perk up to listen, but I try not to listen, right, Lou?
Yep.
So why? Because it's not just not a matter of how many people are listening today, because this is now on the surface for people to get even years from now.
Yep.
I mean, my grandchildren, when they grow up, 20, 30 years from now, might look on the web and not even knowing that it's their grandfather that did this. They may find it. So it may be of use years from now. So you can try to be sattvic, whether you are or not, perfectly knowing that success will follow automatically, if not immediately, at some later point. It doesn't mean that you don't be enthusiastic in your success or your good fortune, because you don't want to be flat. Somebody says, oh, you worked so hard to develop this food kitchen. Now so many people are coming and eating there. You don't just have a flat face, say, well, I'm not enthusiastic about any success. No,
Right.
You have a certain amount of enthusiasm about your success also, but it's known as a natural fullness. A natural fullness. There's natural joy or happiness. A contained happiness is another word for it, not an eruption of joy. Actions are not to get this or that, but in keeping with whatever your dharma is, whatever your shastras tell you, you have to do that. So that was verse 26. Verse 27 of chapter 18 says that what is a tamasic doer like? A tamasic doer is those whose actions are six in nature. His actions are influenced by these. Number one is ragi. Ragi means a person who is deeply attached. We talked about attachments in the previous verse. He is passionate about in his attachments. He's very, very attached. He has lots of desires, raga, dvesha, likes, dislikes, behind his actions. He's a slave to his desires. He is always up or down depending on the results that he gets from his actions. That's the first one. Excessive attachment, a slave to his desires, to his raga and dvesha, and a lot of passion. One of the hallmarks of Rajasic people is the passionate activity. Number two, it's in Sanskrit, is karma phala prepsu. That karma phala means the fruit of your action. Karma means action, phala means fruit. So he is always a Rajasic person who is a doer, is always looking for rewards, for the fruit of his action, for the results of his action. What's in it for me, he says. So where did this come from? Importantly, it comes from your past lives. So that becomes your swadharma, your nature, your vasanas, coming from previous lives, how you've acted, what you've done. Your likes, your dislikes, your desires come from your previous life. And then you build some in this current life also. There's always a concrete goal with Rajasic people. So a Rajasic person may want, just as an example, money.
Mm.
It's not spiritual. Never is it spiritual. A Rajasic person wants money or power or fame, always a concrete goal. A Sattvic person, on the other hand, does it for the right reasons. Whereas a Rajasic person would not do it for spiritual reasons, a Sattvic person would do it for spiritual reasons. Sattvic person doesn't care about the results. Or if somebody is watching him, seeing him do it, whatever, he just says, I ought to do it. This is the Lord working through me, and I'm doing it because the Lord wants me to do this. Number 3, lubda, or greedy. A rajasic person who's acting does it because of greed too. So he does it, he gets something out of it. As he's results oriented, he wants more, he wants more, he wants more. No matter how much he gets, it's like fire. In the Sanskrit, in the Upanishads, it says the mind is like fire, always demanding. No matter how much you give it, it just eats that up and says, okay, more. That's what fire does for wood or fuel of any kind. The Rajasic person exhibits violence at the level of the body, mind, and speech. So because of his great greed, he is so greedy, he doesn't care who he's hurting. He just wants it. When he speaks, he's hurtful. If his family, his friends put up with it because they say, oh, well, even though he's hurtful in his speech or his actions or his thinking or his actual physical, his body, even though he does it, he really loves me. He doesn't. He loves only himself. A Rajasic person is so greedy. He loves only himself. He may say, I'm so sorry, but he really doesn't mean it. His speech is insulting and rude when he speaks because all he's thinking about is, what can I get? How can I get this excessive amount of money, power, fame I'm looking for? And he stifles other people's thoughts and actions. His words are impure. He uses curse words in his speech. His emotions, his thoughts, his desires, all of them are impure. Impure meaning hatred, jealousy, putting down other people. These are his thoughts, his emotions. His relationships are impure. His actions are not mature, not methodical. I know I'm going fast and I apologize, but if you want to, you can just go back and just make notes to yourself because there's a lot to cover here. His actions are purely propelled by selfish motives. He has a disturbed mind, a lot of activity and noise going on inside his mind. He's not a strong will to continue to do whatever he can to get his selfish desires. He's got raga and dvesha, likes and dislikes in his actions. His surroundings are unclean and untidy because his focus and his energy is all directed towards his actions, which are to get what it is that he wants to get. He has desire for somebody else's riches, somebody else's wealth, somebody else's property, always. Because wealth doesn't just lie around on the street. Wealth always belongs to somebody else. Somebody said to me a long time ago, well, what about if you went into the mines of South Africa and you got gold or diamonds from somewhere? That doesn't belong to anybody else. Yeah, maybe you're right. Even now, all the mines belong to somebody else. Yeah. But I'm sure that if you went down deep into the ocean and found a treasure trove you can get it. But for the most part, 99% of the time, wealth belongs to somebody else. And if you want to be wealthy, somebody else is going to give up that wealth to you. So you have a desire for wealth means you have a desire for somebody else's wealth, somebody else's riches, somebody else's property. Such a Rajasic doer is also very miserly. Even though he has tons of money, he doesn't give. He's not charitable. Not charitable with his money, not charitable with his actions, not even charitable when it comes to giving compliments or gratitude. So you'll see this with Rajasic people. You do something good for them, getting a compliment or a thank you for them is very difficult, very miserly. And these people are miserly on spending on themselves as well as for others. They're miserly. Not only that do they not give themselves, but they don't like others giving either, their family members. They're fixated on their own business numbers. How much this property is worth, what is this stock worth. They're financial people that are looking constantly at the newspaper, at stocks and property values. They're cruel. Sorry, this is still just the fourth one for this Rajasic one. They're cruel. Their nature is to hurt other people or person. They get joy in doing that. He's unhappy himself, this Rajasic person, and he makes others unhappy on purpose or unknowingly. He may not even do it knowingly, but he makes other people feel hurt. He is impure in his actions. He is asuchi. That means he's not clean inside or out. What does that mean, not clean inside? His thoughts, his emotions, his thinking is unclean. He has those kind of emotions and thoughts that are anger, hatred, jealousy, bribery. These are all unclean kinds of things from within. And without they don't take shower properly or clean themselves, or their clothes are not clean, they're devoid of cleanliness. So they cover it with perfume without showering on the outside. And the last one is that they're moved by joy and sorrow. So joy and sorrow always go hand in hand. They never go one without the other. So if you have joy and you're overjoyed, then you will have sorrow following at some point. So they're never alone. They always go together. And therefore, because of the fact that such a rajasic person is constantly up and down by his joys and sorrows, he's always emotionally ups and downs, which cause him to not think properly.
Right.
So his mind is noisy and not clear. Sorry, I'm going at such a pace, Lou. I'm trying to keep it to our 20 minutes, half hour. So the last one for this 200th episode of ours is number 28, verse 28, which is a tamasic action, a tamasic doer. A tamasic doer is not steadfast. He doesn't have dhriti. He's vulgar in what he does. He's stubborn. He's deceptive. He's malicious. He's lazy. He's despondent, and he procrastinates. 8 of them. He's ayukta. Ayukta means not steadfast. He's not no dhriti. He has no goal in life, this tamasic person. He is led by his mind's vicissitudes. What does a mind have? Nothing but desires and vasanas. Mind says this, mind says that, mind says this. So he just keeps going from one thing to the next. There's no pursuit of real self-realization, no desire to get knowledge about this kind of stuff. Not following a particular course of action. He'll just go from one action to the next, whatever he thinks is going to get him what he wants. He's vulgar. He doesn't know how to talk with people. He doesn't know how to behave in public spaces or in society with other people. He doesn't follow rules. He's uncultured, no culture. He is stubborn, stabdha, unbending. He's rigid like a stick. Stubborn, he's unbending, he's rigid, he's obstinate, he's like a club. He's unreasonable. Now, this applies to a person who is tamasic, but also to an entire culture or a country can be like this. They can be rigid, stubborn, unbending, and unflexible in terms. And I think of certain countries, but I won't say anything. Yeah. Then he's deceptive. Tamasic person lies, cheats. He can be manipulative. He can be malicious. He can be harming someone on purpose or for selfish purpose. So number 5 is malicious. Sorry, I mixed up the two. Deceptive is cheating, lying, and malicious. And malicious is harming someone on purpose for his selfishness. Next one, number 6 is lazy, alasa. Lazy, doesn't want to work, no efforts in life, and no obligatory duties that he follows. Next one is vishadi, or despondent, always sad, holding on to sadness. Even when he's happy or he says he's happy, he looks sad. Always pessimistic, always saying negative things. And the last one is dirgha sutri, which means procrastinating nature. He's vengeful. He procrastinates, keeps putting things off. And that's the nature of a tamasic doer. So that's episode 200. And I hope you'll join me next time for episode 201, where we'll continue with the same thing on chapter 18. Lou, anything to add?
No, that was we've got a lot of information in there. But again, it's a lot of the stuff we've gone over before. So it should be useful. It's a nice little summary of it.
Yeah, we just started on, by the way, Instagram.
Yeah, so people should look us up on Instagram. Do you know the handle?
Yes, it's the Gita Memoirs of a Psychiatrist.
Okay, great. So check us out on Instagram too. Give you information on upcoming episodes. Also give you information, just information that's not in the episode, some insights and things like that. You're going to enjoy following us. So follow us on Instagram.
Looking forward to it. Thank you. Thank you. See you next time.